Every person carries within them the accumulated effects of countless past actions. These actions, whether from this lifetime or countless lifetimes before, create patterns that shape our experiences, our relationships, and the very circumstances we encounter each day. When these actions have been harmful or misguided, they create what Buddhism calls negative karma, a force that manifests as obstacles, suffering, and unhappiness in our present lives. Yet there exists a profound practice that reaches into the very depths of this karmic accumulation and transforms it from its root, allowing even the heaviest burdens to be lifted and changed. This practice is the chanting of Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, a sound that reverberates through the universe itself and awakens the inherent Buddha nature within every living being. The relationship between cause and effect governs all existence, and Buddhism has long taught that nothing happens by chance or accident. Every joy we experience and every hardship we face can be traced back to causes we ourselves have made. Nichiren Daishonin wrote in one of his most important letters, "If you want to understand the causes that existed in the past, look at the results as they are manifested in the present. And if you want to understand what results will be manifested in the future, look at the causes that exist in the present." This teaching reveals a fundamental truth about how our lives unfold, showing us that we are not victims of fate, but rather the architects of our own destiny. The suffering we endure today springs from seeds we planted yesterday, and the happiness we will enjoy tomorrow grows from the seeds we plant right now. Negative karma accumulates through actions of body, speech, and mind that cause harm to ourselves or others. When we speak words that wound another person's heart, when we take what does not belong to us, when we harbor thoughts of anger or jealousy, these actions create invisible imprints that follow us like shadows. Over time, these shadows grow darker and heavier, manifesting as illness, broken relationships, financial difficulties, or a pervasive sense that life has become a struggle against invisible forces. The Lotus Sutra describes how beings trapped in the lower states of life experience suffering that seems endless, comparing it to being caught in a burning house where flames surround them on all sides. This burning house represents the world of illusion created by our negative karma, where we lose sight of our true nature and become convinced that suffering is all that exists. Yet the same Lotus Sutra that describes this suffering also reveals the path to liberation from it. In the Expedient Means chapter, Shakyamuni Buddha declares that he appears in this world for one great purpose alone, to open the door of Buddha wisdom to all living beings, to show them Buddha wisdom, to cause them to awaken to Buddha wisdom, and to induce them to enter the path of Buddha wisdom. This Buddha wisdom exists within every person, buried beneath layers of negative karma like a diamond hidden in mud. No matter how thick the mud, no matter how deeply the diamond is buried, its essential nature remains unchanged and pristine. When we chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, we call forth this Buddha wisdom from within ourselves, and in that moment, the mud begins to wash away. The practice works not by erasing the past or pretending our negative actions never occurred, but by transforming poison into medicine. Nichiren Daishonin often referred to this principle, teaching that earthly desires are enlightenment, and the sufferings of birth and death are nirvana. This seems like a paradox at first glance. How can the very things that cause us pain become sources of joy and awakening? The answer lies in understanding that negative karma itself contains tremendous energy, and when we chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, we redirect that energy toward our enlightenment rather than our suffering. It is like taking the force of a strong wind that once blew against us and turning it into power that propels us forward on our journey. Through consistent practice, changes begin to appear in our lives that might seem small at first but carry profound significance. A relationship that seemed broken beyond repair starts to heal. An illness that doctors could not explain begins to improve. Opportunities appear where once there were only closed doors. These are not coincidences or lucky breaks. They are the visible manifestations of negative karma being transformed at its source. The great teacher Tiantai, whose teachings Nichiren deeply revered, explained that the practice of the Lotus Sutra has the power to quote, to quote, eradicate offenses that would otherwise cause one to fall into the hell of incessant suffering. This hell represents the deepest state of suffering possible, yet even karma this heavy can be transformed through devoted practice. What makes chanting Nam-myoho Renge-kyo so powerful is that it addresses karma not on the surface level, but at the very foundation of our being. Many practices in Buddhism focus on avoiding negative actions going forward, which is certainly important, but the chanting of Nam-myoho Renge-kyo reaches back into the accumulated karma of past lifetimes and begins dissolving it from within. Nichiren Daishonin wrote, "The purpose of the appearance in this world of Shakyamuni Buddha, the Lord of Teachings, lies in his behavior as a human being. This reminds us that enlightenment is not something distant or abstract. It manifests in how we live our daily lives, in our behavior and our relationships with others. As negative karma is transformed through practice, our natural behavior begins to change. We become more compassionate, more patient, more able to see clearly what truly matters." The process of transformation is not always gentle or easy. Sometimes negative karma appears to intensify before it dissolves, like shaking a bottle of muddy water before the sediment can settle out. This phenomenon has been described in Buddhist teachings as lessening karmic retribution, where we experience in a milder form what would otherwise have been severe suffering. Nichiren Daishonin encouraged his followers when they faced difficulties, reminding them that iron, when heated in the flames and pounded, becomes a fine sword. The challenges we face during practice are not signs that the practice is failing. They are evidence that deep transformation is taking place, that layers of negative karma are being brought to the surface where they can finally be resolved and released. The Lotus Sutra contains a parable about a physician whose children have drunk poison and become delirious, no longer recognizing their own father. The father, though present before them, must pretend to leave and send word that he has died in order to shock his children back to their senses, so they will take the medicine he has left for them. This parable illustrates how beings trapped in delusion cannot perceive the truth even when it stands directly before them. Negative karma creates this delusion, clouding our judgment and making us believe that suffering is inevitable and unchangeable. When we chant Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, we take the medicine that cures this delusion, and gradually we awaken to see our lives and our potential clearly for the first time. One of the most striking aspects of this practice is how it works for everyone equally, regardless of their past actions or current circumstances. The Lotus Sutra teaches that all people possess the Buddha nature and can attain enlightenment, even those who have committed grave offenses. This teaching was revolutionary in Shakyamuni Buddha's time and remains revolutionary today. It means that no one is beyond hope. No karma is too heavy to be transformed. No person is so lost that they cannot find their way home. Nichiren Daishonin emphasized this point repeatedly, teaching that even those who had slandered the law in previous lifetimes could change their karma through sincere practice. He wrote, "Even if one has committed grave offenses in the past, if one has faith in the Lotus Sutra, those offenses will surely vanish like frost or dew under the sun of the Lotus Sutra." As we continue to practice day after day, month after month, year after year, we begin to notice something profound happening within ourselves. The voice that once whispered that we are unworthy, that voice born from negative karma and past mistakes, grows quieter and eventually falls silent. In its place rises a stronger voice, one that knows our true worth and our infinite potential. This is not arrogance or pride. It is the recognition of the Buddha nature that has always existed within us, waiting to be discovered. The chanting becomes like polishing a mirror that has been covered with dust for countless ages. With each repetition of Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, another layer of dust falls away, until the mirror reflects clearly the reality of our enlightened life. The transformation of negative karma through this practice extends beyond our individual lives and ripples outward to affect everyone we encounter. As our own karma changes, we naturally become sources of hope and inspiration for others who are struggling. Our victory over our own darkness gives courage to those still fighting their battles. Nichiren Daishonin taught that when we practice for ourselves and others, we create a pure land here in this world, transforming our immediate environment and the broader society through the power of our transformed lives. The negative karma that once isolated us from others and from our true selves becomes the very foundation for deep connections and genuine compassion. The practice of chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo reveals a truth that contradicts everything our negative karma has taught us to believe about ourselves and our lives. It reveals that we are not powerless, that change is always possible, and that the future is ours to create, rather than something that simply happens to us. Every time we chant, we make a declaration to the universe and to ourselves that we refuse to be defined by our past, that we choose to manifest our highest potential, and that we will transform every obstacle into an opportunity for growth. The negative karma that once seemed like an immovable mountain begins to crumble and dissolve, revealing the clear path that was always there beneath it. This is not magic or wishful thinking. It is the natural working of the law itself, the mystic law that governs all life and responds to our sincere practice by releasing the Buddha nature that dwells within each of us, waiting only to be called forth through the sound of our voice raised in Nam-myoho Renge Kyo.